is Bond 26 in production? Although Broccoli's comment would imply that Bond 26 will be released in 2025 at the latest, Eon won't confirm a concrete release date for Bond 26 until there is significant progress on the movie. But even that could be in question now. Broccoli stated in October 2023 that no work has been done on the franchise's future. James Bond's 60th anniversary was officially celebrated in 2022, which is a tremendous accomplishment for the venerable spy series. When Bond 26 eventually makes its big screen debut, the James Bond franchise, which is based on the works of the late Ian Fleming, will embark on a new chapter. Even though it's painful to see Daniel Craig give up his Omega Watch and Walther PPK for good, fans may already start to anticipate the next Bond actor. The next James Bond film is not scheduled for release, but it most certainly won't enter theaters until 2025 at the latest, if not 2026 or later. September 30th, 2021 saw the release of No Time to Die, the franchise's final installment. Since Daniel Craig's interpretation of Bond had a conclusive storyline and a universe limited to his travels, his time as Bond redefined how the character could be viewed. Similar to Casino Royale, Bond 26 is anticipated to act as a reboot for the entire franchise. One of the franchise's seasoned producers, Barbara Broccoli, stated that she doesn't think the next film will begin production until 2024 at least. Thus, we shouldn't see Bond 26 until 2025, if not 2026. Broccoli reaffirmed in a recent interview that there is still a big road ahead for the upcoming Bond film, and that the crew hasn't even begun to modernize the character for the project. Although the identity of the next James Bond is unknown, Aaron Taylor Johnson is currently the frontrunner. The most important of all the questions, who will be James Bond's successor? Even before Craig's departure, there had been a great deal of speculation. Many believe that actors like Dwayne Johnson, Charlie Cox, Richard Madden, Henry Cavill, Tom Hardy, and Idris Elba will take up the role. The frontrunner is Aaron Taylor Johnson, the actor from Kick-Ass and Bullet Train, who allegedly met with Michael G. Wilson and Barbara Broccoli, and it was successful. Taylor Johnson gave a non-denial cryptic response to the rumors in a recent interview with Vanity Fair. Rebel Wilson, known for Bridesmaids and Perfect Pitch, is one actress who recently revealed that she tried out for the upcoming James Bond film. She remained silent about whether or not she was cast for the part, as well as the role she would be portraying. Regarding the behind-the-scenes work, Skyfall director Sam Mendes has said that he was approached with a generous offer to direct Bond 26, but he declined. The earliest possible start date for production on the next Bond film is probably not until 2024, though it might go later if they really want to rebuild the character from the ground up. Every Bond adventure has taken place in an abridged version of the present day. In case you haven't read any of Ian Fleming's works, you should know that the events of Casino Royale, as revealed in Goldfinger, took place in 1951. It is impossible for Bond to conduct espionage during World War II. He lied about his age to join the Royal Navy Volunteer Reserve according to Bond lore. As a result, he went on to work for MI6 and was given the title of Commander. Though we think it's unfortunate that any stories from Charlie Higson's Young Bond series probably won't make the cut, it's definitely possible that a novel approach like this may be used. The upcoming Bond will, according to Michael G. Wilson, have had some experience and been through the wars, so to speak. With Oppenheimer, Christopher Nolan completely stunned us. Now the powers that be ought to grant him a license to thrill. A James Bond film is due. Nolan's over bears traces of Ian Fleming's tuxedo-wearing, Walther PPK-wielding secret agent. The film Inception concludes with a last-minute heist inside a robbery within a heist in an Alpine fortress that, according to the filmmaker, is his favorite of the 25 so far and feels like a visual echo of On Her Majesty's Secret Service. With its frequently smarmy, lethal protagonist, protracted travel, and mass destruction-obsessed villain, Tenet is essentially a Bond movie. Examine the Dark Knight trilogy, for example. The Joker is armed with a blade in his shoe, similar to Rosa Kleb's poison-tipped knife in From Russia with Love. Rachel Dawes plays its Countess Tracy DeVincenzo. Lucius Fox is Q for Batman because of his cars, gadgets, and witty banter. And The Dark Knight Rises' spectacular opening was obviously inspired by License to Kill's mid-air plane hijacking. even with these subtle hints. His body of work stands alone without reference to James Bond. However, after 12 films and 25 years, one must wonder if he's ready to dedicate himself to continuing the 007 heritage on his own. Even though he has all the time in the world, we need it right now. When actors are bundled into the bookies' Bond odds, they tend to become a little cagey. If you declare you want to play him, it's unlikely to happen, but if you're too cold-blooded about the idea, you'll be cut off from the part. Although Aaron Taylor Johnson is the team's first choice for the upcoming era, he has been quite circumspect in his remarks. Not that Nolan is so tactful. He has openly and consistently stated that he would like to helm a James Bond film. He admitted to plundering ruthlessly from the Bond movies in everything I've done. Forever. They're a huge influence on me. In 2010, and called Inception absolutely my Bond film. In 2010, Nolan made an interview on the Happy Sad Confused podcast where he disclosed that Timothy Dalton is his favorite James Bond actor. Dalton's critically panned avant-garde works seem like a necessary step towards making Casino Royale conceivable. With No Time to Die marking the end of Daniel Craig's hero-defining tenure, the Bond franchise finds itself at an exhilarating crossroads where everything appears to be up for grabs. There will always be conjecture about 007's cast, but with Craig's era setting a new precedent with the serialization of his story, the question of who will write, direct, and possibly even supervise Bond 26 and beyond is perhaps more intriguing. For Nolan, fertility has always been a source of contention. He disclosed in 2014 that he had spoken with Michael G. Wilson and Barbara Broccoli, the guardians of James Bond, but neither felt it was the appropriate time. Now that the whiteboard has been cleared and Bond is prepared for a change, may he be persuaded at last. He did, however, explore the subject once more on a recent episode of the Happy Sad Confused podcast, and he was more receptive than ever. Since Broccoli has already stated that the upcoming film will be a complete reinvention of Bond, consider this. After demonstrating his supreme ability with Oppenheimer, Nolan should be allowed to create his own multi-film 007 tale, a shaken and stirred Dark Knight trilogy. But let him pursue the screen and page hero he's always wanted, even if it's only in iconography. Although the director has not yet confirmed if it is true, a report from World of Real stated that Nolan is genuinely in talks to helm 2 films in the upcoming phase of the franchise. Broccoli recently reaffirmed that there is a big road ahead for the upcoming film, so it may take some time before we hear anything about it. James Bond 26 is undoubtedly in the works, but the producers stress that it is still in the very early stages of development. Daniel Craig's 007 era is over. Craig's reign as the most well-known secret agent in the world may have been the most influential in the history of the franchise. Sean Connery defined Bond, but after the ridiculousness that ended Pierce Brosnan's time in the talks, Craig's exterior brutality and dry, sarcastic wit gave the series a much-needed metamorphosis. Craig's portrayal of the character came to a strong conclusion in No Time to Die, thus clearing the way for yet another reinvention. As always, there has been a lot of conjecture about who will wield a Walther PPK next, with Aaron Taylor Johnson currently being the clear favorite. But it seems like we should all calm down a little bit because Bond 26 is almost here, but the producers have all the time in the world. Prior to the official James Bond reality series 007 Road to a Million, which will debut on Prime Video next month, veteran franchise steward Barbara Broccoli discussed the show's future with The Guardian. In addition to the fact that there is still a long road ahead before the character is reinvented for the next chapter, the modernization of the franchise hasn't even begun. While Broccoli is eager for the next generation to reflect the real world, Christopher Nolan is reportedly in talks to eventually direct his own films. However, the same reports suggested he would be interested in sending Bond back in time. According to Broccoli, Bond is a big screen star with the exception of Road to a Million. That's all for today. If you liked this video, please give us a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to receive notifications. Also, express your valuable thoughts in the comment section below. Until then, bye. Also, spend some time watching our other videos on the channel.